Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Dona Kappmeyer, and I am going to be your host for today. I am very excited to have our special guest, Morgan Hoogvelt, on our show. Morgan is the founder and CEO of Gohfr, as well as a senior executive search consultant for Morgan Human Capital Management in San Antonio, Texas. Today, we're going to speak with Morgan about his journey to get to where he's at today and the challenges and successes of owning and operating a business. If this is your first time on our channel, please be sure to like and subscribe so you can get notifications when we publish new content. Well, Morgan, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really glad to be here, Donna. So thank you for having me.
I am looking forward to it as well and highlighting you and your business. So tell me a little bit about Gohfr, a unique name. What is it and how did you get started with it?
Yeah, no, thank you. It definitely a unique name. I'll give that credit to my dad. When I was as a kid, he was always out in the field working somewhere, saying he needed a gopher to go get something. So it's kind of stuck with me, and hence the name. But yeah, I just got started from it. I was interesting story. I was working at a company, large international company, and they use a lot of delivery services, a lot of courier work, things like that. But they were just struggling with it a lot, and so I just had an idea thinking, hey, I probably can do that just a little bit better. And so I set off on a journey to create my own, platform with my own service offerings that I felt could be a little bit better in the courier industry. I think if for those who aren't familiar with the courier industry, it's a very old school, very archaic industry. And again, just thought that we could do things a little bit better, bring the technology a little bit forward, and see where it takes us. And so, yeah, we've had some great success after we launched and been in business now for over 6 years.
Fantastic. So starting seeing the need internally of, hey, I can fill this need better than what's happening.
Yeah,
So how has that expanded? How has that morphed? And kind of give us a flavor of what kind of service is that? What does that look like?
yeah. So the service really is what's coined last mile logistics, right? So it's basically taking a company's final product, whatever that could be, and getting it to the consumer. It could be another business, it could be a healthcare patient, it could be somebody's house, whatever the case is. Where our specialty is last mile logistics. And so, how did that morph? It's really, we started off with one little location here in San Antonio and also several small little clients. And we've just really focused on being excellent service, an excellent process, a fair and transparent process, meaning upfront pricing so companies know what they're going to get charged with no hidden fees and all these invoices that they can't decipher, which is also very problematic in the courier industry. And again, we just really focused on being a good partner and focusing on quality for the client and also at the end receiver, and also hiring quality people, whether they're a contract driver or full-time driver. Anywhere that we hire them, we always look for good quality people who want to earn money but also understand the job of what we do, the clients that we have, and want to make sure that they are a good fit to kind of ride with our journey. And so we've really packaged that triad as far as, communication, great service, and finding good people. And it's really brought success for everybody that's involved. Anytime we take on a new client or we service existing clients, everybody ends up really happy of the process and our end goal of making a great delivery.
Awesome. So, when I think about your company, automatically go to like an Amazon or Favor or Uber or whatever that, those kinds of companies that are transporting products. How does your company differ, or how is it, what is the uniqueness of it, if you will, compared to those?
Yeah, so I think it's a great question. I get asked that a lot, right? And I think some people mistake the delivery.
Hmm.
And it can be, but Amazon makes delivery look very easy. Amazon's very big. They're really good at it. But it's also very transactional, if you will. You go to the website, you find something you like, you click it, you order it, and it comes to your house the next day, the same day, whatever the case. It's put on your doorstep or whatever the case is. There's not a lot of human interaction involved in that because there doesn't really need to be. If you get your item, it's too small, you don't like it, they set up an easy return, whatever the case is. Our business is a little bit different than that. We're our model and our clients. Most of our clients are healthcare. So we can't just leave something on somebody's doorstep. We deal a lot with medical devices that are very expensive. We deal a lot with pharmaceuticals, which you can't just leave laying anywhere because some of those are actually even narcotics, so they have to be specially
Yeah.
handled. But I think it really just ties back to our what makes us different is just our client base and how we treat them. When you're dealing in healthcare, it's really important to our clients, but it's important to myself. And I also want to make sure it's important to my drivers and my team members that we deliver with empathy, we deliver with care, and we deliver with communication. And I think that's our biggest differentiators, and especially the communication piece. It doesn't seem like it's a lot, but when you call a patient or an end customer, if you will, and let them know that, hey, my name's Morgan. I've got all your items, your healthcare items, your pharmaceuticals, your food, whatever it is. I'm 30 minutes out. I'll be there and I'll knock on the door. It's a whole different level of service than just never hearing anything. And all of a sudden, 2 days later, you decide to go out your front door and your package is laying there on the front door. And you're like, oh, wow, I wish somebody would ring the doorbell. So it doesn't seem like a lot. I know when I first started this business, I had picked up new clients. And I remember one client in particular asked me, well, Morgan, is it okay if you guys ring the doorbell? And I said to him, I said, I don't understand like to you want us to ring a doorbell? Like, absolutely, of course. That does not happen. He goes, no, the current provider we're using won't ring doorbells.
Huh.
I didn't understand it. I didn't even ask questions. And frankly, I don't even really care. Our process is going to be to help the customer really showcase they chose us as a delivery partner. So we want to make sure that process is seamless and great and that the customer has a good experience because the more that customer goes back and orders from them, the more deliveries that we can have, everybody's going to win. And so, yeah, that's really just our focus and making us different is just really that the communication is one of our big ones, just really to go above and beyond and communicate, communicate, communicate.
I love that. So it's very much relationship based and not, I love the fact that you said you differentiated transactional versus relationship. We want to build that relationship. And what you are delivering is very, very important. And that's going to create repeat business. That's going to tie folks to you and they know that they can trust you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's really again just you asked about the differentiators and it's finding people that understand that this is a different product and understand that this is going to a different audience. And I'd say probably 90% of our what we deliver is healthcare related. And unfortunately, when it's healthcare, the clients that we have, we're delivering to people who are not in the best shape of their life. There's some of them that are close to end of life, unfortunately, because we deliver for some pharmacies that specialize with hospice. So it's not a, hey, here's your pharmaceuticals, or here's your med device. It's really making sure that you're delivering with some communication, some care, empathy, and just going that extra mile. And not everybody can do that. And it sounds trivial, but not everybody can do that.
I love that. As you think about right now, you're primarily focused on healthcare. Are you looking at expanding in other areas? Who else would be your target or good candidates for you to experience your services?
Yeah, I think we're always looking for new clients. We're open to any avenues, right? And I think that the more you talk to people, the more you'll find different industries, different niches that you never thought would come up. Even within healthcare, we find different niches in healthcare that I didn't even really know about, right? So we learn things every day. One of the ones that's come up recently, I mean, it's been around forever, but it's industrial machinery, and it's not big machines. But what we find is a lot of these companies they have very specialized manufacturing processes and machines, and those are machines and they break sometimes. And so what happens is they have to go to the manufacturer and they need those parts like now. And so we work in particular, like in Oklahoma, we work with a large manufacturer. It's a very well known household name where we take their parts that need to go to the airport, and they're not big. Some of them will fit in a little box, a little envelope, but they need to go out like right away. We'll take them down to the airport. It could be the local airport in Oklahoma City or Dallas Fort Worth. whichever get the best flight and the quickest flight out anywhere in the world, and we'll take those parts down to those places and drop them off and get them out. So that's definitely a niche that just kind of fell into our lap that we didn't really, kind of think about, when you're doing different, deliveries every single day. So there's another one that's it's not massive or global, but it's more of like a localized where you have these chefs that really focus on preparing chef prepared healthy meals for their customers. And some of these chefs have customers all over the city. I mean, we have one particular one that he has customers all over the region, and we deliver, over 100 deliveries for them weekly, all over the San Antonio and surrounding areas. So, yeah,
Wow.
to answer your question, there's a lot of things that we're open to, and a lot of niches that we just keep discovering.
Wow, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
So as you look at that, right, spreading yourself out into some different markets, what kind of challenges have come along with that during this time of growth that you've experienced as a business owner?
Yeah, I think it's really number one is making sure you always got the right people. I'm
Okay.
I'm big into that, and you want to win every time with every hire that you make. Unfortunately, sometimes you don't, right? And so you make a bad hire, it stifles the customer, and then you got to wait and rehire and things like that. That's how it goes. Hiring is always number one as you're expanding and kind of like looking at different markets and getting the right people on the bus. And I think after that, it's just really the process, just really no two deliveries are the same. No company's the same. When I first started this business, I always kind of look back and laugh at myself because, you know, I didn't really know a whole lot about delivery or about the industry and how it all worked. And I made this very poor assumption thinking like, oh yeah, everyone's just going to use my app and it's going to be great. And, everyone's going to love it. Well, I figured out very quickly that, like I said before, no two deliveries are the same. No two companies are the same. Everyone has different processes. There's some companies that love using the app. There's some companies that they're like, hey, that's not going to work for us. And we've had to find different solutions. And so we've had to pivot and customize, different delivery solutions for particular clients and customers. And so we can do that. And I think that's another one of our key competitive advantages is just really being flexible. We've been told that by different customers when I ask, well, why did you decide to partner with us? And they always tell me, Morgan's because you guys are flexible. You guys built us different solutions. You listen to our needs and you deliver something that fits us. You don't try to make us fit in your box.
I love that. I love that because not everybody is the same. And if you have the ability to adapt and be able to fit their needs, that's a massive win.
It is. It's huge. And, it's one of those things where, at least speaking for myself, I've always tried to take different experiences and different environments and take all the goods that I've ever learned out of all of them. And, it's funny because I find myself now, like for one particular customer, it's a logistics model, sure enough, when you look at it. But really, what I did is I took a staffing model from my days in staffing and recruiting, and I implemented it inside this particular customer. And it just happens to be delivery drivers and logistical delivery, but it's really a staffing model that I took and implemented it. So, again, if you can just think outside the box, I feel with in any kind of business and do something a little bit different to meet your client's needs, you can really, be successful with it.
Well said. So where do you want this business to be in the next 3 to 5 years?
Oh, that's a great question. I get that asked a lot. I think sometimes I'm too busy to pick my head up and think about that. But I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily need it to be a household name like an Amazon, right? Because it's not really our focus to be bringing everything to people's houses on a daily basis. If it happens, that'd be awesome. But I would really like to just be, maybe I don't know, maybe several more, maybe several more strong, good customers who value what we do, that we can bring value to, and that we can bring good processes and improvements to make their customers' lives their better and improve their standard of delivery. Um, what does it look like? It's probably going to take growing people and growing processes, expanding the technology out, and things like that. So I think we're ready for all that. We were kind of smart in the initial by you know building this technology platform like a house where you can really add on and customize anything you want. We didn't just build this like little box where it's going to take, an overhaul to do. So we have really a lot of flexibility with the platform itself to expand out. And I think, yeah, I think if we can capitalize on finding good people and finding good customers, wherever they are located, we can, operate anywhere in the United States with them. That's really the goal. It's just to kind of keep expanding and keep growing and to really focus first on being excellent. And I think if we can focus on being excellent, anything else will follow, whether it's money or, earnings or whatever it is that people are, want in their business. I think all that stuff will follow for us.
Well said. Well said. Thank you for sharing that. If there were one or two nuggets, when you think about success, if there are one or two nuggets that you could share with our business owner audience, what would those be? And what does that mean to you when you think about success?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. I would say the first one is for any audience that's either thinking about or in the early stages of, starting a business or getting going is, I'm a very conservative person when it comes to like spending my money. I don't like to lose it. I do not like losing money at all. I know you have to spend money to make money, and I get that, but I think you have to spend it wisely. And so I read this magazine years ago, many, many years ago. I don't even know if it's in publication still. It's called Inc. Magazine. And
Yeah.
its focus is really more on entrepreneurial dealings and, success stories. But I remember reading this story about, I can't remember who it was, but the main idea was just really starting lean and not jumping into a business and getting all this stuff, right? So in my business, I think what I see a lot is these people want to start their own courier business and they'll go out and they'll buy two or three vans or even one big, huge, sprinter van. And these vans are expensive. They're not cheap. And
Hmm.
then the cost that goes with this, like commercial insurance is massively expensive. And then they find themselves not really using it or needing it. And they just sit there and then they end up selling them. And when you sell an automobile, you sell it at a loss. So my point with it is I would advise people the first nugget is utilize the coffee truck method. That's Morgan's little coin there, the coffee truck method. And what I mean by that is some of my favorite coffee shops in San Antonio, I can trace back to remember to going and get a little cup of coffee when they were just a little coffee truck, nothing fancy. And they started at this truck, but they had proof of concept. People came, they made money, and then they started doing pop ups. And then it was even more successful. And then they went and got a brick and mortar space, but they had this whole proof of concept to get to that brick and mortar space versus just going and getting a brick and mortar space and nobody comes, right? So I would say one, be conservative with your money, utilize the coffee truck concept. I think it's a great methodology to do. The second thing I would say is, you know, um, not that Morgan's method is right, but I think that sometimes in business, there's so many resources out there, it could just stifle you. People want, oh, you got to have a plan. Well, what's your marketing plan? Well, what's this? And you got to know this, and you have to know this, and you got to do this. Well, I look at business as like raising a kid. There's no book that says, hey, here's what you do with your kid for all these different years, right? Especially with your first kid, you just learn it and you find out. And sure, you can take advice from your parents or your uncles and aunts or other your neighbors, but you really just got to find out along amongst the way. And I think sometimes if you do that, when you just go and you find out, you're going to learn some things that might be good. And you might learn some things that might not be so good. But I think if you can learn and adapt and do things, your own way to a degree with like other things that have been successful, I think that's a good plan as well. I think sometimes people get too stuck in this mindset where like, the SBA tells you, well, here's your business plan. It's got to be 40 pages and then, come give it to us. And then you give them me early on, I went down to the SBA. I thought that's what you had to do. And no knock against the SBA, but you write this business plan. It's like 40 pages. And then they come and they tear it up. And then they're like, oh, you go get a loan and you go get a loan. And then no one wants to give you a loan. And I just found like that stuff doesn't even work. So I just said, hey, I have a good concept. I'm going to go try. I'm going to go try and get customers. I'm going to learn from my customers as well. And if someone's going to like me, we'll do business. And if somebody doesn't like me, then that's great. We'll part ways as friends and I'll move on and keep doing what I'm doing.
Well said. I kind of like the school of hard knocks a little bit, but you got to experience it,
Yeah.
right? Go through,
Yeah.
find out what works and what doesn't work. So thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that, right? Because it's not
Sure.
a one size fits all, and sometimes you got to start small and not bite off more than you can chew.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I hope that can help somebody because, yeah, I think, and, I think just like you probably have done, I've seen a lot of restaurants. Restaurants is always the one that gets me. Like, you do a huge build out, you spend money, you sign a lease, and then, unfortunately, a month or 2 months later, you go by that same restaurant, it's out of business. And
Yeah,
I always feel for whoever is owning that because I'm like, man, that must have been hard. That was a lot of money. That was, a lot of heartache, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears they poured into it, and it's just gone. And so
yeah,
you got to be really careful, in my opinion, and think about how much you're willing to spend, what risks you're going to take, and you don't always have to spend big. I think it's called minimal viable concept, right? Start there, just go with the absolute minimum, and then as you start making more money, start getting other clients, those are all good problems to have, and you can kind of start expanding from there to see where it goes.
beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Any other information you want to share with our audience today, and what is the best way for folks to get a hold of you?
Yeah, no, nothing else I want to share. I mean, I'm just really, really happy to be here with you and talking today, and showcasing the business, and hopefully anything I've shared can help one or two people out. That's always the goal. If somebody can take just something small away and learn from what maybe something that didn't go right or did go right for myself. I'm happy to do that. As far as getting a hold of me, I'm always on LinkedIn. It's Morgan Hoogvelt. You can find me there. You can also reach me at my email at Gohfr, which is mhoogvelt@gohfr.com. I'm happy to share that, with anybody as well, and stay in touch and get connected and share ideas.
Well, thank you, Morgan. Thank you so much for sharing your story. This has been fantastic. And make sure you go for this and you go for that and you go for Gopher. This has been the Business Spotlight Series with Dona Kappmeyer and with Morgan Hoogvelt with Gopher. Please be sure to like and subscribe so you can continue to see our great content. Thank you, Morgan, so much for being on our show.
Thank you.
Awesome. Bye for now.
Bye.